and a Jared head. Ooh, Ryan has a title, but Jared doesn't. So in the chat room, let me know what you think the title of this should actually be. Let's see here. Go back there. Yeah, what should we give Jared as a title for this particular show? See what we should do there.
I'm sure the public will give me something completely reasonable.
Absolutely. Also, I feel like we should have had more people viewing, so I'm going to really quickly double check on the live channel. While I do that, Ryan, Blue Origin.
Yeah, I mean, I said on X, but I brought back the meme of worst comms week in Blue Origin history to best comms week in Blue Origin history, because they've done, what haven't they done this week? What haven't they talked about this week, I think is the question, because of simply how much stuff they've been talking about. First of all, I think the elephant in the room is that New Glenn, big rocket, they're like, not big enough. Jeff wants to make his rocket even bigger, and they're going to make the stages longer. They're going to make the fairings wider. And longer, I think. They're putting more engines on each stage. I mean, they've essentially made an exploration upper stage, in turn GS2 for the upper stage of New Glenn now, with 4 engines on that thing. They're putting 9 engines on the first stage, upping it from 7, changing the landing leg design. They're making the strakes even bigger. They're essentially putting wings on the booster at this point, because the strakes are now huge if they weren't big already. I mean, they're just... It's almost like they've looked at Starship and gone, how can we make New Glenn as Starship-like as possible without having to go through all the hoo-ha of doing a reusable upper stage and whatnot, right? Like, they're like, what can we make bigger? Yes, let's make everything bigger. More engines, bigger booster, bigger upper stage, bigger fairings. Just make New Glenn, but 1.5x it and make it bigger than it already is. And I love
Newer Glenn. Newest Glenn?
Newer Glenn. Well, I guess
Newer
we could call this New Glenn and the other one Old Glenn, maybe. I don't know. They could retroactively rename it.
Well, no, you need 3. You need New Glenn, Glenn, and Old Glenn, right?
Oh, okay.
It's almost becoming like a family at this point. You have Grandpa Glenn, Uncle Glenn, and Little Glenn. Maybe.
This is my Rocket Daryl. So. This is my other Rocket Daryl. Oh, I might be the oldest. I don't know if you guys get that joke. I'm too old.
Nope. This is my New Glenn. There are many like it, but this one is mine.
Well, I don't get that one. So, Ryan, help me understand. So already, New Glenn was about just old New Glenn. I don't know. OG New Glenn? Whatever.
Original
current Glenn.
Glenn.
Original yeah. Glenn Classic.
Classic.
Was already pretty close to the performance of Falcon Heavy. Is that correct?
Yeah. So quite, it was well. There's rumors that they're a little bit ways away from what they want for their mass targets right now. So it's advertised as 45 tons to Leo. Whether they can actually launch 45 tons to Leo right now with the current performance of the vehicle is speculated to not be the case, considering it takes, 18 seconds to clear the towers at liftoff, right? So, but their eventual goal with the current configuration, which they are naming 7x2, meaning 7 engines on the first stage and 2 engines on the upper stage, their advertised goal is 45 tons to Leo, which puts it in a Falcon Heavy class. However, they want to add 2 more engines to each stage to create 9x4, so 9 BE4s on the first stage, 4 BE3Us on the upper stage, and that design would push that tonnage to Leo. It would double it from 45 to 70 tons to Leo, and that would also push the payload to translunar injection up to 20 metric tons. So that is approaching, SLS territory, and it's a partially reusable vehicle, and it hasn't cost the American taxpayer billions of dollars to develop. So that's now starting to raise questions as to how long SLS is going to be around for, because there are also there was that Athena document that was leaked from Jared Isaacman's original bid to be NASA administrator, and within that document there were some rumors of perhaps putting Orion on New Glenn, and now they've just made New Glenn even bigger. So this is going to be very interesting how that turns out.
Yeah, I feel like
we never got to see Athena, right? We never got to see that document.
No, I don't believe it was actually ever released, but there was some, Eric Berger saw it and it was being passed around Capitol Hill. So we've got little tidbits of information that came out of that, but it was very much a summarized document. favored into the eyes of the old school defense contractors for like lobbying and things like that.
Jared, I'm sorry, I interrupted you and your potato.
I was just gonna, I was just going to say that the launch capabilities of like New Glenn 2 full thrust Boogaloo is going to be very close to SLS Block 2. So it's looking like a potential vehicle that you could use to completely replace in that architecture. So,
man, I feel like every time I come on the show, I come back to, why do we have SLS?
I feel like we ask the same question every week. Why does SLS still exist?
I feel like we've been asking that question for 15 years now.
So, but
possibly longer.
I guess so my cat, just as an aside, my cat is very clever and found a way to open the door and walk in here, and is now tormenting little bugs in the windowsill. So that's why I look distracted, because I'm like, how did you figure out how to open the door?
So you're telling me that scene from Jurassic Park is now happening?
Yes, that pretty much exactly.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. I mean, the thing is, it seems like just tacking on some additional already working engines and making the vehicle bigger, well, that is harder than it actually sounds, right? Like, you don't just embiggenate a vehicle. It's not as big as completely reinventing the entire power plant, right? Like, this is not a change that should take them 20 years, in theory, right? I would assume that this is only a few years away. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a timeline released in the press release, but Eric Berger, I believe, was hearing some rumors that they want to have this thing, like, hardware-wise in 2 years, which would be, I think that's quite ambitious. But I mean, just look at the last week and a half they've had. I would say that's a pretty big morale boost. So whether this is kind of a kick in the rear of Blue Origin and they suddenly start scampering off into the distance and doing epic stuff on the ground in Leo and in cislunar space, I mean, I'm not going to bet against them at this point, considering the week they've just had.
Yeah, me neither, right? I was out last week, which was when you guys, I think, did the NG2 recap, but I gotta say, wow, right? Like, oh my God, that was so incredible. It was so inspiring, wasn't it? Like, it was just, you just saw them, you could feel the emotion on the webcast of them just like really getting excited over everything that was happening. And I don't know, I thought it was very, very cool. And, I bet I bet that there are a lot of them that are reinvigorated and just like, YOLO, let's go. You know what I mean? There's got to be just this incredible energy over at Blue right now of like, we can do this. Let's make this thing happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Blue's got a lot of smart people working there. This is a lot of very high-end engineers in industry moved from their original workplaces over to Blue. So it's not like they're lacking for talent or creativity or the ability to think out these problems and figure them out. And with their management restructuring that they did over the past couple of years as well, you're really kind of seeing a different company than you would have even seen, say, 5 years ago with what they have. So it's pretty exciting to watch a company, feel it. To me, it almost feels like SpaceX after they landed the first Falcon 9, where this sort of feeling of invincibility suddenly came into play. And that these people were finally, SpaceX was finally hitting its true stride of what it wanted to do, and it was really having a meteoric rise, as if it wasn't already at that point. But for Blue, it feels like they are finally getting exactly where they should be, and now obviously it's time to catch up, and they got a lot of catch up to do, but they're pushing it, and hopefully
do they? Okay, hang on. If you guys could, I wish you guys could see my cat. I'm so sorry. Like, hang on, I'm gonna see if I can't. I don't know if you I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, she just took her long body and just reached up and opened the door in front of me. You crazy, crazy cat. All right, sorry. Yes, this episode will be all about my cat.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So is Blue actually behind? I feel like when they did this, when they with New Glenn 2, with this successful launch, because not only did they successfully launch and put payload into orbit, they also got their first stage back in a absolutely brilliant way, right? So like, I don't know. And I think a couple weeks ago I was saying I don't think that they're actually going to fly this first stage, but according to their manifest, they will. And so
Yes.
if they already know like what this system looks like and what the booster looks like and like what they're expecting this to be, then now they
I
don't need to
guess
build another first stage. Like maybe like is there catch up that they need to do?
I feel like you do have a valid point actually with that, and kind of, I can definitely be wrong, 90 seconds ago, in that Blue is already reusing a booster with their new. I think people keep forgetting about New Shepard and just how helpful the flights and the development and the operation of New Shepard likely is towards New Glenn. And yeah, like you could New Shepard could basically be an upper stage for New Glenn. But at the same time, it's provided valuable resources to developing the software and looking at what happens to hardware on a booster when it comes back, which should aid Blue Origin in speeding up the process of getting this specific booster ready to go for their New Glenn, for New Glenn 3. So we'll have to see with that. And I would love to be able to pick the brain of somebody from Blue and ask them that. So, and maybe with the PR drive that they're on now, I don't know, should ping somebody and be like, hey, y'all want to talk? Y'all seem to be talking a lot over the past week. So
we talked about Blue being a threat to the Space Launch System program, but do you think it's a threat to SpaceX as well?
Well, it's an interesting point because I would say right now, initially over the next 6 months, a year or so, I don't see them being a threat. However, there is another. I don't think that SpaceX being SpaceX is going to be the thing that is the threat. I think the threat could come from Elon Musk's reputation overseas because he is not, let's just say, within upper echelons within the European Union. Let's say he's not the most respected individual. So maybe if you are high up in the EU Commission and you need to sort out where your spacecraft is going because Ariane 6 isn't ready yet, and you are going to be putting them all on Falcon 9, like, I don't know, Sentinel 6B, which launched last week. Maybe if you're not looking favorable towards Elon Musk right now, you could say, hey, Jeff Bezos, if you want to launch our spacecraft, we'd be happy to give you a few million for that.
Maybe. I mean, there's a point in the room that SpaceX's manifests are still full, right? So SpaceX has some time here. Do you think that this is maybe not a short-term threat to SpaceX, but a longer-term threat in which Blue could start peeling off new manifests and not old ones? Although to your point, like Issa, by that time Ariane 6 is probably going to be flying, right? Like, how much are they actually going to be able to move?
I don't know.
Me too.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see, right? Like we haven't really seen a battle of super heavy lifters before, and
no.
Now we're going
and
to
that's
have
the exciting part. Like there is actual competition now. Like there were so many comments I'm seeing on YouTube and on X and such that I'm getting a bit of an echo. I don't know if your thing has just reset, but
sorry, that was me. My headset disconnected and reconnected.
You're all right. But I was seeing comments on social media, on YouTube and whatnot. People are like, why are you getting so excited about this? SpaceX did this 10 years ago. The reason why I get excited about this isn't because it's something we haven't seen before. We have seen boosters land over 500 times at this point. The thing that gets me excited is the fact that there is now credible competition And when there is competition in an open market, that drives prices down, right? And we are now going to have this is the start of the curve, right? Because we just had New Glen, and coming online from the Cape imminently, we have Stoke Space with Nova, Relativity with Terran-R. We have partially reusable rockets. We have Neutron up the coast in Wallops, right? We have multiple companies with partially reusable rockets that are on the edge of this, right? And this is just going to push us into this future that we all want to live in of competition. And competition in an open market is a very good thing. SpaceX is dominating, right? And they deserve all the accolades and all of the respect for that. But finally, maybe something is going to be able to push the prices down and chop off the huge profit margin which they've got on top of Falcon 9 launches right now.
You know, and there is not a scarce economy here, right? Like, it's not like we only need one launch provider. If we're going to get cislunar space and we're going to get humans on Mars and we're going to do asteroid mining and we're going to, it's not just SpaceX or just Blue Origin or just Rocket Laboratory. It's all of them. It's SpaceX and Blue and Rocket Lab. And certainly, like, they're going to fight over, fight for contracts, and because everyone wants all of the things. But yeah, I'm really excited to see like where that all goes.
And I think there's a lot of things that we're not thinking about right now that Blue Origin's New Glenn might be capable of doing. Nobody was looking at Falcon 9 as a small sat launcher, right? Nobody thought it was going to come into that market and then absolutely dominate it like it is doing. Everybody thought, oh, Electron's got it made, and then we're going to have Firefly, with Alpha come in and give Electron competition. Turns out, nope, Electron is having to compete with Falcon 9 in order to do that. So yeah, we're gonna have to see what happens with New Glenn. I feel like it's a lot like many things. I almost call it the Field of Dreams effect. If you build it, they will come. Here you have this super heavy lift rocket, and you're going to have payloads that aren't even in existence right now that are going to be coming to it to do that. And then also there's something to be said too about the fact that who is doing the vast majority of Falcon 9 launches? What is the biggest customer for Falcon 9 launches right now? So, and that's Starlink. So it's internal with SpaceX, right? So who's going to probably end up being the biggest customer for Blue Origin's New Glenn? Well, somebody who owns a company, wants to build out a constellation called Kuiper. So I can't imagine who might become, the biggest provider of lofting Kuiper satellites into orbit. No clue who that could possibly be. So we'll have to see.
Well, well, that actually brings up another interesting point. Excuse me for 1 second. Is these launch providers, certainly are launching a bunch of their own payloads, but that's what going to keep them afloat? Is the launch services business not actually where the money is to be made? Is it all of the things that go around the launch services business, and they just become their own launch provider in order to keep their own costs for lofting that to space low? Right? Like lofting Starlink, lofting Kuiper, bringing up anything they need for Blue Moon, for Blue Origin. Like, maybe the launch becomes a loss leader, and it's everything else in the aerospace economy or the space economy that is what actually drives the business.
Could very well be. I mean, if your profit margins drop, you're going to need to figure out a way to recoup those costs. And it may very well be the services that you end up providing while you're in space. I feel like that's what Blue Origin is trying to make their secret sauce, is this ability to not just send things to a cislunar economy, but try to be actually a critical part of the infrastructure of the cislunar economy. So it kind of depends on how that future pans out, and that's the roll of the dice that we're all going to have to see how it works over the next 10 years or so.
What about you, Ryan? What do you think? Where do you think the money for all of this is going to end up coming from? Is it going to be Is it going to be the launchers, or is it going to be everything but the launchers?
Well, I wouldn't say it would be everything but the launchers, but I think certainly everything else is going to have a much larger slice of the pie, because something else that Blue has shared imagery on this week is Blue Ring, which is their satellite platform, their space tug platform, which they can do things in LEO, in GEO with, maybe even out to the moon with. And they've also, Jeff Bezos shared pictures of the first flight article for Blue Moon Mark 1, their cargo lander, which could be flying as early as Q1 next year, which would be very exciting to see, landing near Shackleton Crater on the South Pole. Like, Blue has this vision, or rather Jeff Bezos has this vision, and the reason why he founded Blue Origin was to create this economy in cislunar space. And there is no way that a cislunar economy can be profitable if all of your profits come from launching rockets on Earth, right? You need to be able to develop profits, drive profits in LEO, in GEO, on the moon, around the moon, right? So that's the whole reason why they have, like, Blue Origin is not a launch company, they are a space company. Yes, they are working on launch vehicles, and yes, their launch vehicles are very exciting, but they are also working on those in-space platforms and those platforms on the lunar surface.
Is SpaceX a launch company or a space company?
I would argue that SpaceX started as a launch company and then evolved into a space company, because, you know, they do operate the largest satellite constellation ever seen right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the mission goal of SpaceX is to make life multiplanetary. And if you are a launch company, you can only get them into low Earth orbit, right? You need to be able to sustain that human life for a 6-month trip to Mars, and then be able to develop a city on the surface of Mars, right? So yeah, I think that evolution has taken place with SpaceX as well. But, you know, Elon is obviously very much focused on the Mars side of things rather than the cislunar economy side of things.
But what's interesting is when we look at Rocket Lab, do we not see the same pattern yet again? Right? They started with launch, and now they are building, platforms for you to bring your payload up on. They're doing all of the things around launch, and certainly they're talking about launch and reusability. But it seems like there's a pattern evolving here of launch is just a part of the equation, but maybe everything around launch is the thing where they make their money.
Yeah, Rocket Lab have done the exact same thing. They have more satellite buses than I can name off the top of my head, because I've forgotten the names of them. The amount of stuff they manufacture. They do individual components as well. They manufacture solar panels. They manufacture avionics. They do all the different things that they can give you a combined package of satellite bus and the ability to launch, or they can just, if you need a solar panel, you could just ring up Peter Beck and he'll give you a solar panel, right, for a fair price, I'm sure. They're also developing their Flatellite platform, which is like similar to how Starlink are stacked in Falcon 9. That'll be how they're stacked inside of Neutron. Firefly, they're doing the same thing as well. They have Alpha, their small sat launch vehicle. They're developing Eclipse alongside Northrop Grumman, but they also have very successfully proven they can land on the moon with Blue Ghost and deliver scientific payloads and commercial payloads to the surface of the moon. They have their Electra space tug, their on-orbit vehicle, which is capable of operating around Earth, capable of operating around the moon, as they're going to prove on their next mission to the moon, right? Like, all of the companies, it seems like the solution to surviving and growing in space right now is to do the launch, but also to do all of the things that come after. Everybody's doing it.
I wonder if it's a protection mechanism, right? It's really interesting to me to see like exactly that same pattern just like show up time and time and time again. So I wonder if there's something there, or if there's just maybe there isn't enough business just for launch. Having said that, Tishapek says without launch, the other stuff doesn't exist, which is true, right? Like if you want to land Blue Moon on the moon, you need a launcher. And it might be a little bit difficult if Blue wanted to land something on the moon to be handcuffed by another launch provider like Rocket Lab. If they can't lift Blue Moon, then what is Blue going to do? So they have to build the entire ecosystem. So I wonder if it's a business plan thing, or if it's just a logistics problem of, hey, we want to build this thing. We want to build Starlink. We want to build Kuiper. We want to build Blue Moon. We want to build, buses. And no one else is building the infrastructure to get it up there, so we'll have to build that too.
On that note, I did find it quite funny. However, that entire New Glenn 2 lead up, neither Rocket Lab, who obviously built the Escapade spacecraft, nor Blue Origin, who actually launched the damn things, would mention each other. They were like, Rocket Lab were like, we're launching our Escapade spacecraft today. And Blue Origin were like, we're launching the Escapade spacecraft today. But Rocket Lab wouldn't mention it's launching on New Glenn. And Blue Origin wouldn't mention that it was NASA's Escapade spacecraft, definitely not built by Rocket Lab. But yeah, I found that quite funny.
It was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious. Yep. Did we talk about the other stuff? Did we talk about the other stuff that blew? Like they mentioned Newer Glen. They mentioned Blue. What was it? Blue Ring. Like they announced everything all at once. They were like, "Here's everything we're working on, and you can have it in like the next 2 years."
Yeah, they did like 2 years worth of PR in the space of 7 days. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Here, take this or something.
Another thing that Dave Limp put on X was a video of a test of their aero brake, which is going to be used for when you're doing an aero capture, for example, around Earth, if you're coming back from the moon, or perhaps even going to Mars. If you're going out to Mars, you can do an aero capture. And I forget the details off the top of my head, but there were some big mass savings in being able to do an aero capture versus having to do a retrograde burn and use all of that propellant, which was quite impressive to see. And of course, Jeff Bezos posted those images of the Blue Moon Mark I first vehicle, which has got its all of its tankage. I think it's pretty much got all of the innards installed at this point. They just need to do the outards or the paneling on the outside to finish it off and make it look pretty.
Maybe it's just me, but that aero brake, it did not look like it would last at all. It looked like it would like open up and then immediately rip apart. Was that just me? Did you guys look at that and go, "Oh, that'll slow a vehicle down"?
Well, I mean, they're really high up in the atmosphere, right? So it's like, yes, drag has an effect, but it's not like they're going through like sea level pressure. They're really high up there. It's still quite thin.
Yeah. Sure, but
spacecraft have done aero braking at Mars. And like Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter literally like angled its solar panels in very specific ways so that way it could get a specific amount of drag. Like you can absolutely have the most sensitive hardware possible and do something with it like that, as long as you're not dumb and make it dip down deeper into the atmosphere or anything like that. Just don't metric mix up everything. Okay, just get it right. Pick a unit and stay with it. We don't need another screw up with that. Okay, no more Mars climate orbiters.
I hear you. I think what I was getting at was, it's a lot of weight that they're bringing up there, and you're right, they're not going to be able to use it in thick atmosphere. Is the juice worth a squeeze on something like that, right? Because as you get further down where it's actually going to create like a significant amount of drag, I feel like it's just going to rip apart. So, I mean, maybe the answer is yes. Obviously, I've run none of the numbers, but I just, gut checking that one, side chair engineering, which is always my favorite. I looked at that. I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, it's one way you can do it. I mean, you don't necessarily have to have it. The X-37B, when it was launched on a Falcon Heavy, went literally went on this wild orbit up to just about geosynchronous orbit, right? And then they used aero braking in the thin, tenuous upper atmosphere of the Earth in order to bring that apogee down and kind of make it a little closer to the Earth with it. So as long as you have something that has sufficient margin, it should be okay to use it. They're not going to dip down to like 40 kilometers above the surface of the Earth and like zip through this fireball like some sort of balut or something like that. But if you like dip down to maybe like 100 120 110 kilometers, you might be able to do it.
Dystopian Prophet would like to know, at how many bananas does aero braking happen?
Well, I brought up Dave Limp's tweet here, and he said that for a Mars aero capture, this method will save hundreds of tons of mass.
Oh wow!
So
okay,
that's a lot of bananas.
That's a lot of bananas. That's what happens when you don't do the sidechair engineering and you actually do the real engineering. You get the real numbers. Don't do what I did and look at that and go, eh.
Got to remember too that these are things you could do long term. you don't have to do one round of aerobraking and that's it. When we're doing aerobraking, usually it's over tens, if not sometimes even hundreds of orbits in order to
Mm.
slow down enough. Really, the thing you're doing is thermal management. You're making sure parts of your spacecraft that shouldn't get hot don't get hot. So as long as you're
Barbecue
careful,
roll.
yeah. Well, I don't think you could barbecue roll while you're aerobraking.
Whatever.
Sort of pirouetting through the atmosphere. Typically that is suboptimal for your spacecraft. But then again, I don't know. Who knows what Blue's thinking about doing with this? So,
do we think with Blue announcing a bunch of stuff and actually being public about their projects and their programs, do you think that we're going to see more coming out of Blue from a PR standpoint in these coming days? Like, were they waiting for the success of New Glenn before they actually were like, hey, look at all the cool stuff we're doing? Which kind of maybe makes sense, right? Like, you don't want to be talking a big game and not able to launch a rocket, right? Like, cart in front of the horse. So now that they can launch big, huge rockets successfully, and now that they can land first stages, big, huge first stages successfully, do you think maybe we'll see more out of Blue now?
God, I hope so. I mean,
yeah.
they've just been on a roll, right? Jeff Bezos was tweeting like Elon was tweeting back in 2016, right? He's just posting a new image or a new video every single day. It was just wonderful to see. He's clearly chuffed, right? He's put God knows how much money into this company, and finally they've delivered. And he's going to be so happy that they finally have a working system, ticking every single box that there is to tick on New Glenn 2, right? So I would hope that his happiness is going to drive Blue to maybe be sharing a few more things in the future than they perhaps would have done in the past.
Yeah, I hope so too. And he really did look happy too, right? Like well earned, right? Like well earned.
Yeah.
They have, like, man, that one was like pooping a pineapple, but they got there. And I might have to retire that phrase. All right, I got nothing else on Blue unless you guys have any go backs. Yeah, I know.
No, they've talked about so much stuff this week. I mean, we could probably spend 5 hours talking about it, but that's pretty much everything that has come out. Yeah, just best comms week in Blue Origin history.
And I hope they keep it up. I really do. Like, it was nice to see them actually doing, like, for realsies comms. It was nice to see all of it, right? It was nice to see him succeed on a launch, and, like, not just succeed, but like hyper succeed. Like, what a brilliant mission. It was great to see them put out future updates and actually, like, give humanity something to chew on, right? Like, give us something to get inspired about with regards to Blue. It was like, oh yeah. So, like, first we're really excited about New Glenn, and then, like, oh man, that was really inspiring. And they were like, well, if you think that's good, right? Like, it was really cool. I think it was a great week for Blue, like a really great week for Blue, or a great 2 weeks for Blue, really. So yeah, kudos to them. And I think we've got our first poll question that is relating to Blue, question mark?
Well, let's see. Yes, it is, because Blue Origin did so much. I thought that Blue Origin did so much, I thought I could ask, what didn't they do this week? So, which of the following did not happen at Blue Origin this week? Was it A, Cislunar Transporter hardware reveal? Was it B, Blue Moon Mark 1 hardware reveal? Was it C, Blue Ring hardware reveal? Or D, Orbital Reef hardware reveal? As we awkwardly wait for the music.
I will do the music because Zach is struggling with the oh, you got it.
There we go.
Oh my God, is it loud? There we go. So the Cislunar Transport hardware reveal, Blue Moon Mark 1 hardware reveal, Blue Ring hardware reveal, or the Orbital Reef hardware reveal.
What do you think, Missy? Yeah, I agree.
All right. Almost everyone in the chat room.
Okay, so everyone in the chat room is going for D. Okay. What do you think, Jared? Which one do you think Blue Origin didn't talk about this week out of everything they did talk about?
Well, having prepared well for this episode this week, I would have to say it's D, orbital reef hardware reveal. Didn't see none of that.
Jamie, what do you think?
I think your question is flawed in that none of the answers are correct.
Oh, well, one of them is.
No, it says, which of the following did not happen at Blue Origin this week? Well, I guarantee you there are teams working on A, B, C, and D inside of Blue Origin this week. So
one of them they didn't talk about publicly.
All 4 of those happened at... No, the question is, which of the following did not happen at Blue Origin this week? I'm telling you, all 4 of those things happened at Blue Origin this week. Your question is flawed. The answer is E, none of the above. Or all of the above. Or, yeah. Your question is flawed. That is my final answer.
Okay, and for that you get... I didn't say that was correct. I was going to say that's very wrong.
All right.
There is no E.
We're going to... Hang on.
The correct answer is D. The correct answer is D, because I come up
no,
with
it is not.
No, it is not.
So
no,
D. No,
it's D.
No.
You got it wrong. Everyone else got it right. Well done, everyone else.
No.
We got it wrong.
No. I'm going to send this... Hang on. Can we create another poll real quick? Zach, create another poll. The question is, should we take a point away from Ryan? Yes, we should take a point away. No, we should not. Was the question flawed? Yes, we should take a point away. No, we should not take a point away. I want to know what the chat room says. The best part is, Ryan, I said when I explained my logic, I could see in your face like, dang it. Oh, we get the music again.
Okay, brilliant.
So all right, chat room. Yes, we're taking a point away. Or no, we're not. Was the question flawed? Yes, the question was flawed and we're taking a point away. Or no, the question was just fine as posted and everyone gets to keep their points. And by the way, Jared, you get to keep your point and we're taking one away from Ryan, depending upon what the chat room says. I love that
Ryan,
you're just shaking your head.
It's not exactly like Ryan is in this competition. You know, like the umpires in baseball aren't the ones who are winning the games, I think. So.
Ryan keeps his points.
55% no. Thank you, chat room. Chat room sees things as they should be. Chat room understands that I do the quizzes, I'm in charge, and I get to pick which answer is correct, okay? And the correct answer was D, which means Jared gets a point. Chat room just didn't want to lose their point, all right? They just wanted to keep their point, and by siding with me, they keep their point. So Jamie is wrong, everyone else is correct.
Oh, chat room, you've broken my heart, chat room.
Jamie, if I could be fully honest here, I was going to say no to that. I felt that reveal was the key word in that. So, whatever. And that just, I was with Ryan on this one. I'm sorry. So,
I hate you all. You're all dead to me. You're all dead to me. All right, moving on. I actually don't know if we had any. Do we have more topics for today? Or are we just going to do a whole bunch of dorking around?
We can talk about Booster 18 if you want, but I have a feeling you might have to skedaddle if we want to discuss.
Maybe. So let's talk really quick. Let's do the elephant in the room real quick. My last day at SpaceX was last Friday, so I'm no longer under the employ of SpaceX, which does bring up the question, can I talk about SpaceX and can I stay on the show? And the answer is kinda. So for those who don't know, like I still do have non-disclosures there, and I do still wish the best for the company, so I'm not going to reveal internal information on the show. I'm just not. Part of the reason that I disappear when you guys are talking about things is nonverbal communication is a form of communication as well. And sometimes I remember, like, because I don't tell you guys anything about SpaceX, and sometimes you get stuff that was very, very wrong, and I just be like, what? No. Or you just see me just be like, oh, idiots. And once in a blue moon, you get something right, and I'd be like, oh God, how did they get that? And like, it's hard, right? So the easiest way has historically for me been for me to disappear. Now, having said that, Booster 18 technically happened the moment it was a going away fireworks show, I guess, because it was that Friday morning. So I think I am going to remove myself from the show for now, and I'll probably, depending on the topic, if I have any form of information on the topic, I'll probably in the short term continue to remove myself from the show, just so we're doing we got to do the right thing, right? And then, as I'm not there anymore, so I don't have a fire hose of information. So if it's a topic that I truly don't know anything about, I don't see any reason why I can't speculate on it as well, because I would be speculating just like you. So on that note, bye.
I guess we should talk about SpaceX's great successes then, because of course we had Blue Origin's great successes, and SpaceX, everything was going so great. They rolled this booster out to masses. They didn't even get to cryogenic testing yet. They were literally doing ambient temperature testing, and they made this thing go pop, setting the record for the quickest rollout to testing destruction time in Starbase history. I mean, knocked it out of the park. Obviously, I'm being very sarcastic, right? Well, am I not? But it is unfortunate to see this booster go at this point in development, considering they really want to launch soon and they don't exactly have any more boosters lying around.
Yeah, the hardware to actually enable launch isn't exactly ready to go at the moment, as Missy is pointing out. Very, very, very verbally. We had cats earlier. Now we've got dogs commenting on SpaceX. So yeah, it's kind of how the show's going today. Obviously, very disappointing. Obviously, there's a element of this is why we test, and I think a really big part of this is the fact that that this was the first version 3 booster, but it's also a bit interesting that the issue has happened to the booster, because it seems like a vast majority of the issues have been with Starship itself. So I guess we're gonna have to see where they go from here with this, and hopefully this is ironed out at a relatively good pace, but also still ironed out in a way in which it is actually handled. So
yeah,
it seems like this year for somebody is saying Aravel, glad SpaceX is getting their I assume I don't know Latin right off a hand, but I assume that's Annus Horribilis, which is horrible year, out of the way. Basically, you're like the worst year of your life. So hopefully this is that for SpaceX, and they just kind of get out of that. I mean, just who knows at this point. So yeah.
I mean, if you count the first 2 flights of Block 2 Starship, which saw the upper stages blowing up on ascent, and the fact that the 3rd flight they lost attitude control, so it burnt up on re-entry, and the Starship that they blew up at Massey's during the static fire attempt, and now the booster, which they've had an explosion or an overpressure of. There was no flame, but it definitely went pop, right? So that's 5 vehicles that have now gone kablooey in the span of 9 months, roughly 11 months. It's not it's not a fantastic streak, but yeah, I mean, it goes without saying, right? It's 100% better for this to happen when it happens than for it to happen when the vehicle is stacked on the pad and it's got a Starship on top. Because if that booster was holding the weight of an upper stage Starship, it would have crumpled over immediately, and that Starship would have fell to the ground, and it would have created a whole mess and probably destroyed pad 2, which would have been, even worse than what this currently is. Or, good heavens, it happened on ascent, and then they had a mix of propellant and a huge explosion fireball over the skies of Starbase. That wouldn't have been great PR for the company either. So, it's unfortunate that it's happened, but if it was to happen at this point, doing ambient temperature testing is probably the best point for it to happen.
And during testing, you're getting data, and as you're taking that data in, you can get a really good idea. You can hopefully find a really good idea as to where the problem is, and if it was a problem that you were expecting, now you know where that limit's at. If it's a problem that you just hadn't thought of, now you've got something that you have a fun tree to follow, a fun fault tree to follow, and now you can kind of branch that tree out from the trunk and see what are some of the other problems that it can cause and work to prevent those and make your booster design even better if you need to make the changes to do so. So again, destroying stuff during testing, that's where you want to do it at. Uh, do you want to keep destroying stuff during testing? I think that depends on who you ask and what level of management they're at. But at the same time, you know, there's you have to have a balance when you're working with new hardware, and I feel like there is a small a larger level of forgiveness that can happen here simply because this is the first version 3 booster that is actually going forward. So it's not exactly like what you're seeing here has a tremendous amount of heritage with it. It's not like these are known parameters in this area from at least from the knowledge that we have on the version 3 boosters. So we'll have to see how this goes, but you know, it's one of those things where if it feels like I don't want to say it feels like you should know better because obviously this is like I said, this is a new piece of kit that they're working with here. But at the same time, it is one of those things where anybody who's looking to put a complaint in about you now has a little more ammunition in order to do that. So yeah, we'll have to see what's going on. So
Yeah. And in terms of an actual cause, SpaceX hasn't said anything. I mean, I don't think they would be able to determine exactly what happened in this span of
no,
time anyways, because they're going to want to do a full proper investigation to make sure it doesn't happen again. But at least visually, it appears to have stemmed from the new, bigger chines, which house a bunch of COPVs or composite overwrap pressure vessels, which are of course the tanks which hold extremely high pressure fluids and gas. And that's something which was confirmed to be the root cause of the Ship 36 explosion back in June. They've also played Falcon 9 before. Famously, Amos 6 blew up on the pad. CRS 7 blew up in flight. So, you know, this isn't SpaceX's first rodeo with COPVs. And if it was something to go wrong with them again, then that wouldn't be entirely surprising. But there's also the fact that they've launched 500 odd Falcon 9s at this point without any COPV problems. So it's quite confusing to see how they would still be struggling with something which seems, you know, they've done 500 Falcon 9 flights perfectly fine with no problems. So,
yeah.
yeah.
COPVs are just kind of a nightmare with how they work. The amount of pressure there is just so immense, and that margin for error is unbelievably small with COPV. If you have any sort of crack in the material or any sort of weak spots in the material, it's just basically a ticking time bomb at that point. And then also with the way a COPV works with the amount of pressure that it's holding, it's always a catastrophic release of pressure. It's not a small, it's not a poof, I guess is a way to say it. It's always going to be a big old honking kaboom.
Yeah.
You know, the COPVs were definitely one of the sort of scary items for that vehicle right there, the space shuttle. It was one of those things where if a COPV on the shuttle let go, that was pretty much it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I think it all raises the question, when will the next flight be? SpaceX was targeting January, according to Kiko Donchev, who was a SpaceX VP, who said at a conference in Florida a few weeks ago that they were going to be rolling the booster out in a matter of days and that they wanted to launch in January. I think January is probably safe to say is off the table at this point, considering that they need to build a brand new booster and figure out what went wrong with booster 18 before they, or at least before they start doing the majority of building booster 19 or any of the modifications they have to make. SpaceX now, their official line is no earlier than Q1 2026. But Jared, I'm curious as to when you think they might actually be able to get this thing off, considering right now they have a ship test tank, which is yet to be tested. They have a fully built ship waiting in the production site, and the next booster along exists as barrel sections scattered throughout the Star Factory right now.
Yeah, it's Booster 19 is not. It's bits and pieces all over the place. It's not a cohesive uh, vehicle yet. So we'll have to see. I'm gonna say that if January was the original target, we're probably going to be looking at early March now. I'd say first half of March, somewhere around there. So maybe like a 6-week delay on that. Somebody in the chat said that that one of the big things they're working on right now is still the launch pad itself, and that's I don't want to necessarily say it's helpful that they are doing that, or helpful to minimize the amount of time hit that they're going to be or schedule hit that this is going to cause, because let's face it, you broke something on it, and it sounds like you broke your hardware from a very critical item that you need to make sure works correctly. To anytime that happens, you're going to take your sweet time, hopefully coming back to figure out the problem. But also, SpaceX taking their sweet time is typically a lot faster than the rest of the industry would. So I'm going to say that first half of March, sort of a 6-week delay from their original target, is where they're going to be at.
I'm going to agree with that. I think March is certainly on the table. I think they will have learned from building Booster 18, because of course Booster 18 was the first ever V3 booster they built. So though I'm confident they'll be able to speed up that production process, that stacking process a little bit. And I'm hoping that this is a relatively easy problem to investigate and resolve, because it happened during ambient temperature testing, right? This wasn't the cryo proof test. This was the test before the test to ensure they could do the proper test, right? This was essentially as simple as it gets in terms of Starship testing. So yeah, it's going to be. I'm just hoping it's going to be a smooth investigation, and we get to see this thing fly. Because boy, does the Artemis program need it flying if they want to be able to get that in-space refuel demo done next year in preparation for a landing the following year.
Yeah, just when we needed that schedule to try at its core to stay as on time as possible, this happens. So
yeah,
doggone it.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. So we can talk about something a bit more positive maybe with the next quiz question.
Sure.
Hi Jamie, welcome back.
Welcome back, Jamie.
All right. Now let's see if chat's got my back for this one. Let's bring up the next question.
Okay, this question,
chat betrayed me. You betrayed me.
This question is actually a special question because there are 3 correct answers on this board. However, you only get the 3 points if you guess all 3 correctly. So if you only get 1, doesn't count. If you only get 2, doesn't count. You have to get all 3 correct. It's all or nothing. Chat, you have to work as a group, because the way this is going to work is your top 3 responses are going to count as your 3 answers. So your top 3 responses have to be the 3 correct answers. If not, chat goes away with nothing. So this is all or nothing. You could be walking away with 3 points here. And the question is, why did Catalyst select the Pegasus XL to launch the Swift Observatory Reboost mission? Was it A, Swift's inclination, and or B, launch schedule, and or C, launch cost, and or D, a government requirement?
Messing with the questions and answers. I love it, Ryan. Well done.
There we go.
We awkward silence. We're good at that too.
Yep.
I think I may know all 3. I think I may know all 3.
I'm struggling.
Looks like it's all going down in the chat room right now.
What's going on?
Okay, Jared, let's start with you. Which 3 are you selecting?
Okay.
No, we're not doing the music again. Which
more
three are you
time,
picking,
more
Jared?
time. I am gonna go with Swift's inclination as my first one because it's at a weird inclination to allow it to observe gamma ray bursts and other stuff like that super quickly. That's the whole point as to why it's called Swift, because it's fast. Fast to turn to the target. I'm also going to say B, launch schedule, because if I recall correctly, the contract that Catalyst has basically says that they need to spend the money that they're getting ASAP. Like the deadline for that is super soon. So like by the end of next year, if not sooner than that. And then C, launch costs, because if I recall correctly, they only got $40 million for it. So they can't do a Falcon 9 with it. They basically had to go with what was next with it. So I'm going ABC on this one.
Okay. Jamie, what do you think? What are you going with?
Well, I felt like B and C made the most sense. So schedule and cost. It's between A, Alpha, and Delta. I'm gonna. I don't know why the government would require. I'm gonna do A, B, and C as well. Yep.
Okay, and we will wait to see if the chat room work together or not, which is going to be fascinating.
Oh, by the way, the chat room is angry at you. The chat room's angry at you, Ryan. They say that this was unfair and that you should lose a point. However, since the chat room did not have my back for the last question, I do not have their back for this question, and I am not initiating a point removal for you on this question. And I'm saying that this question is valid, and you fairly described to them in advance exactly what they needed to do. So this is on them. And no, you get to keep your point. Yep. This is what happens, chat room. If you don't have my back, I don't have yours.
Yeah, chat room. I very clearly described that you had to work together, and in order, your three answers will be counted as your first, second, and third most voted answers. So
100%
in my ear what the response was from the chat room.
You were very clear. You were very clear.
Very clear.
Abundantly.
Yeah. So abundantly. So I'm sorry, Sack. What did the chat room pick? ABC?
Okay, chat went for ABC. So I don't know why chat is complaining, because everybody got it correct. Well done. Everybody's awarded 3 points, which is the bonus points for this week. So that's a big advantage gained.
Huzzah.
Well done, everybody.
Well, congratulations, chat room. Even though something you were complaining.
I mean, they literally got it right. You and I were complaining anyway.
You and I, chat room, need to be.
Yes, Sack asking me in my ear if everybody gets 3 points, and yes, so Jamie gets 3 extra points, Jared gets 3 extra points, and the chat room also gets 3 extra points.
What was that all about?
Because we had to choose ABC.
Yes, but like we get 3 points too, right? Because we got it correct.
That's what he's saying.
He's saying yes, you get 3 extra points.
I'm just saying. Oh,
yeah, I don't know why. Okay. I don't know why there was any question. Of course, we get 3 points. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, you got it.
Who did this?
Basically, what we're doing now is stalling for time. Jared, did we have any astrology news to close out the show?
Well, I could say that the first images of 3I Atlas, the third interstellar object and our second aliens, interstellar comet, came out.
Aliens,
guess what? Unfortunately, for Dr. Avi Loeb, it's not aliens. So, but it's not going to stop him from jumping on the places to sell books. So yeah, I could definitely speak to it more next week as more data starts to roll in. But NASA released a whole bunch of images that were taken by spacecraft throughout the solar system. Maybe we'll actually start to get some of the data coming in as well. So it turns out, even though the government was shut down, NASA had the plans and stuff already ready to go to observe 3I Atlas as it got close to the sun. So yeah, here we go, getting closer to the Earth. And then December 19th is its closest approach to the Earth. And as it went around the sun, it's on the path we expected it to be. Yeah, there you go. So no deviations from it. It's got a tail like a comet. So basically it's doing everything we expected. So
is it expected to land on the moon then?
No, it's
Like-
going to be about 100. It's kind of on the opposite side of the solar system from the Earth right now. So it's going to go real close by Jupiter in next year. But overall, nah, it's really not.
Where are the aliens
It's-
landing then? I don't understand.
I don't. As far as I know, I'm unsure at the moment as to where the aliens land. I think it would be really funny if they landed, say, like, I don't know, like on Hollywood Boulevard, and nobody believed that they were aliens. So, but I mean, that's just me.
They already have, Jared. They already have.
Every celebrity's an alien, right? So, yeah.
All right. Any final
Visible?
topics, or is that our
Hell
show?
no. You need a research telescope in order to be able to see 3-Eye Atlas. So worth climbing the mountain for? No.
It's installing the
amateur.
monolith on Jupiter.
It's not amateur. Yeah, we're putting it on your attempt. Yeah. All of these worlds are yours except for Europa. Attempt no landing there. So.
Man,
Yeah.
great 2001 reference. Love it.
Yep.
All right. On that note, I think we've got our final scoreboard of like who's doing what in the whole thing. So it looks like, Jared, you are still leading.
Yes.
Well done. Chat room, it's pretty close. 36 points with the chat room. And I see Ryan has started the year-end trend early of like allowing like multiple points. I'd love to see like in all of December, you can potentially get so many points in like one question that it just undoes the rest of the year.
Yeah, you just win everything.
Mike is behind chat at 31. Dada is 25. I still got a big old goose egg. I'm gonna get one of these right one day. I know it. I know that December is my month. December is my month. I guarantee it. And Ryan has infinity minus 14. So like,
yeah, which is Sting Infinity.
Boo. I think that's our show this week, and we're gonna do the fun little thing where, for those of you who are members, just stay right here. We're just gonna switch the show into member mode, and it should just do automatically stuff, so you don't have to move or go anywhere else. And before you do, you're gonna bring up the slates, right, Slack? All right, so Zach is talking in our ear and you guys can't hear him, but like, yes. So for all of the members who are here right now, or if you're something, sorry, that all got me out of train of thought. Thank you very much for being members and for subscribing to the show and helping us do this week after week, month after month, year after year. If your name is in yellow, that means that you either resubscribed, you were gifted a membership, or you are a new member as of this last week. And then we've also got our suborbital members, and we've got different membership levels for every single like price point, right? So there's a level that's like $1 a month, which is system support. You don't get your name in the show, but you do still get access to After Dark, all the way up through Escape Velocity. And of course, as I mentioned, After Dark is up next for November the 21st, 2025. I have no idea what we're going to talk about. But it should be an interesting show. So I'd like to thank everyone so much for watching this week. It's been a ton of fun. Ryan, great work on all the Blue Origin stuff. Like, we got a little bit of emotion out of Ryan. He was all excited. Yeah. Like, look at that. It was really good. Were you screaming during that? Were you hosting the new Glen 2 launch? Were you hosting?
Yeah, I was. Have you not heard it yet?
No. Should I have heard it?
Well,
is it amazing?
Maybe this is something we'll have to do in After Dark, because apparently everyone else has seen it. So yeah.
All right. You know, I've been fairly heads down over at Company X. All right. Thank you everyone so much for watching. We will see you next week.